Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Well, we'll see in a few minutes. My name is Bill Hillman. I'm the Chief Engineer for Suffolk County Department of Public Works. Just going to briefly introduce my team. We have Alex Prego, Assistant Chief Engineer, Craig Lavallo, Assistant Director of Traffic Engineering, Liz Harding, Traffic Engineer, our Project Manager, Kevin Shannon, and Junior Lamatage. I'm sorry. I murder that name all the time. Our Highway Engineer.
What's your first name?
My name's Bill. I also want to introduce the elected officials in the room. I know we have Legislator Ann Welker. We also have the Supervisor Brooks Gonzalez. Can you introduce your team as well? Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you all for coming out tonight. Just so you all know, this is being filmed on channel, by LTV. It's running on channel 22 and YouTube, and LTV will be running this over the next few weeks, so you can tune in. You can also watch it on YouTube, and there'll be a email address on the bottom of the broadcast. If you have other thoughts later, like suggestions you want to make, you can reach out to the Suffolk County Department of Public Works. I'm Kathy Burke-Gonzalez. I'm joined tonight by Deputy Supervisor Kate Rogers, Council Member Ian Calder-Piedmont, and we have two of our trustees here, Bill Taylor and John Aldred. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you. So tonight's format's pretty simple. Kevin will give a brief presentation, maybe 10, 12 minutes. We're then going to open it up to question and answer. I want to stress that this project is at the preliminary engineering phase. So it's no final decisions have been made. It's very appropriate time for us to hear input from the community. So I just want to stress that when we talk about the project, it's not like we're building this. This is what we're proposing to build, and we're looking for input. Okay. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kevin and go underway.
I'm going to use the microphone if that's okay.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pretty full room, so I appreciate that. Tonight, as you know, we're going to be discussing the County Road 40, Mile Harbor Road Improvement Project. And as Bill said, after my hopefully not too long presentation, you'll have the chance to ask any questions or provide any comment you would like. So, So moving a little slow. So this project is 2.5 miles long and begins in the vicinity of the Village Line near Cedar Street and Collins Avenue, continuing north to Copices Lane, adjacent to 3 Mile Harbor. This evening, as Bill had said, we're presenting it in the preliminary engineering phase, and with the information gathered here, we'll move on to final engineering afterwards. So our project objectives are where we intend on rehabilitating and resurfacing the existing roadway pavement. We're providing continuous curb and sidewalk on both sides of the road to improve pedestrian safety and mobility, to improve the storm drainage facilities and eliminate localized flooding throughout the project area, to provide accommodations for bicyclists on both sides of the road, from the intersection of CR 41 Springs Fireplace Road north to Copices Lane. We'll be replacing and upgrading the existing signing along the project corridor in accordance with current standards. And we'll be rebuilding the traffic signals at both Cedar Street and Collins Avenue, also including upgraded pedestrian facilities. So you can see here, these pictures illustrate that, along with the fact that, as most of you know probably, that this road was a historic stream bed, and the lack of curb and insufficient drainage has led to some localized flooding and puddling. This condition can also contribute to the deterioration of our pavement and joints. So here you can see that pavement shown here shows that existing concrete panels are worn and have obviously deteriorated. This can result in a noisy, less than comfortable ride, and is difficult and costly to maintain. Here you can see the existing sidewalks on the west side of the road, some of which do not meet current standards. Some heaving, some cracking, things like that, that we endeavor to fix. Also, north of Springs Fireplace Road intersection, as you know, there are no sidewalks on the east side of the road. So our proposed improvements to go along with those needs are, prior to the asphalt overlay, we'll be repairing the existing concrete panels or removing them if they're in poor enough condition. We'll be repairing and supplementing that existing stormwater system to mitigate those puddles you saw and drainage issues. We'll be resurfacing all pavement with asphalt within the entire project corridor, which will lower the road noise, improve rideability, and lower maintenance-related costs and delays. We'll be installing curb and continuous ADA-compliant sidewalk on both sides of the road, along with ADA-compliant curb ramps and driveway aprons. We'll be installing those buffered bike lanes on both sides of the road from the intersection of CR 41 north to Copices Lane, the northerly terminus of the project. The county is also proposing to lower the speed limit between CR 41 and Copices Lane from 40 miles per hour down to 35. Here you can see the existing conditions from the beginning of the project, north to Springs Fireplace Road. You can see there's sidewalk on both sides, an 8-foot shoulder, 12-foot travel lanes, and a 12-foot two-way left turning lane. And this is the proposed section. I know the text is a little small to read, but we'll be removing and replacing the existing sidewalk on the west side as necessary and retain the existing sidewalk on the east side, repairing minor things. The roadway will include 9-foot minimum shoulders, 11-foot lanes down from 12, and a 12-foot two-way turning lane, just as you had before. Here you can see the existing conditions north of CR 41 to just north of Copices Lane. See, it's lacking sidewalk on the east side. We've got variable width shoulders on both sides, an 11.5-foot lane, and an existing sidewalk of various condition on the west side. And for that section, this is the proposed typical section for those points, where again, we'll remove and replace the existing sidewalk on the west side as necessary and install that new sidewalk on the east side. Both sides of this section of roadway will include a 5-foot bike lane with a 3-foot buffer to protect them from the traffic, 11-foot lanes, and mountable curbing. Here's an overhead view of Cedar Street, the proposed improvements at that intersection. We've had recent conversations with the fire department, and while there will likely be some changes to this plan, this is the general concept. You can see this narrowing of the intersection will shorten the pedestrian crossing distance, increasing their safety by decreasing their time spent in the intersection. The adjustment to the intersection will also allow, I'm not sure if you can see the mouse here, but for a longer left turn lane northbound, which will help improve the flow of traffic. This is an overhead view of the CR41 Springs Fireplace Road intersection, south of which you can again see those 9-foot shoulders proposed, 11-foot travel lanes, and 12-foot two-way turning lane. The bike lane transition here, moved it a little bit, sorry. There we go. It's got a delay. One more. There we go. The bike lane transition here is still under review and will be designed to ensure the safety and of both bicyclists and motorists. While it's not addressed in this project, we are in receipt of the town's roundabout study and have multiple alternatives for future consideration. This slide is an overhead view of the Harborview Ave, Soak Heights Road area, where you can see the proposed 5-foot bike lane with 3-foot buffer and 11-foot travel lanes. So for reference, north is to the right. So you can see here in pink, it's a little tough to see. East is the bottom side of the roadway. You can see those areas that, due to the topography of the land, may require some low retaining walls for the installation of the sidewalk on that side. And here on the left, you can see a typical area that in construction of a new sidewalk would likely require some removal of trees and that low retaining wall. You may have seen it before. On the right is an example of that wall that we installed on CR41, Springs Fireplace. This is just south of Abraham's Path, right across from Pepperoni's Pizza. And again, north being right here, another area that may require a low retaining wall. This is just south of the 3 Mile Harbor entrance, where again, the topography may require that wall. And again, this one's a little easier to see. In pink, again, another area that may require that retaining wall. And this is just north of the 3 Mile Harbor Marina. So during construction, two-way traffic will be maintained at all times. Construction activities on the east and west sides of the road will not be permitted at the same time. Access to adjacent properties will be maintained at all times. And while daytime construction is anticipated, milling and paving operations may be at night due to the daytime traffic volumes and limited road widths. Of course, construction staff will be available to coordinate with residents, property, and business owners throughout construction. And as for our schedule, fall of this year, we endeavor to begin final design. 2 years later, in the fall of 2026, we expect to have the design completed and to have received bids. Construction should begin in spring of 2027 and be completed by the spring of 2028. And our current preliminary cost estimate is $14.5 million. So now I'll return it back to the Chief Engineer, Bill Hillman. You've already met, to answer any questions or give comment. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. And if you think about a question after tonight, please submit it to that email address on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Excellent job. Thank you. So,
Could you please talk into the microphone for me? I apologize, but it's easier for broadcast. Thank you.
sure. So, if you liked what we did on CR41, we're going to really replicate that on this roadway. So, that's kind of just in a nutshell, trying to give you a visualization of what the roadway would look like. It's going to look very similar. I know it's difficult to look at cross sections as engineers. We intuitively see those things, but as lay people, it can be hard. So just try and picture this CR41 project and apply it to CR40, and that's what it's going to look like. So with that, we'll turn it over to any questions. Yes, sir.
So there's one intersection that was very interesting. That was where, I'm sorry, where,
Bill, you may want him to come to the microphone so everybody can hear it, and the folks at home can hear it as well.
Just let them go walk up to the podium. It'll be fun.
hello, my name is Hi Marion Polsky.
If you can get behind the podium and address the audience, it would most likely be best. Thank you.
The one intersection that I was most concerned with here was where Springs Fireplace empties onto 3 Mile Harbor. And I'm especially concerned about that left turn there. And I saw the slide for that intersection. It lasted about 30 seconds. But I think that's one of the most problematic intersections in the entire town, because you're turning left and you can barely see cars coming in from 3 Mile Harbor and looking to the right. And looking to the left, there's a constant stream of cars. You don't know whether they're turning onto Springs Fireplace or if they're just going straight at onto 3 Mile Harbor. And I'll admit that if there's one intersection in town where I've nearly had accidents several times, that's the intersection. I can never quite see what's coming from the left, and I can never quite decide whether those cars are going to turn onto Springs Fireplace or whether they're going to turn onto 3 Mile Harbor Road. So can you talk about what you're going to do with that intersection? Because I'd consider that intersection the most problematic here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, so again, we're in preliminary engineering. That's exactly the kind of input we're looking for, so thank you. We will look into that and try and address those concerns. I'm not sure we have answers today for you on that. I will turn to Craig or Alex or Kevin, or do you have any comments on that particular, or we're not quite there yet?
We're still looking at that intersection. We do have an open study, so we are looking at some alternatives there, safety analysis, accident analysis. So, like Bill said, it's still early on. We're still looking at it, but that actually, that is one of the intersections that we are still obviously looking at. So, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Let's keep the microphone where it was. Perfect. Thank you. That's cool. Thank you. Yeah. We were moving it around a lot and it didn't sound great. Thanks.
So I've been in a lot of committees and going all the way back to the comprehensive plan in 2004, the charrettes, the Hamlet studies. I've participated in a lot of those discussions. And my question is, would you please elaborate on what you mean by rebuild the light at Collins and Cedar? And also the discussion of so that's the question. And the comment is the spit of land at the fork between 40 and 41, that's parkland. It would have to be alienated. If your construction schedule, if you're expecting to begin in 26, did you say? I think that would give the town enough time to alienate that parkland so that we could have a proper roundabout, or at least very generous channelization. There is an opportunity for vehicles to come down Indian Hill, I think it is, cross 40 and make a left northbound on 41. It's not a good pattern for traffic at all. So anyway, that's it. If you would please explain rebuild, because we have a big problem with synchronization. if you're on Collins, you get the green light to make a right northbound on North Main Street at the same time that the pedestrians have their 18 seconds to get across the road. Thank you.
Okay, so rebuilding a traffic signal in general is replacing the hardware equipment that is there, the poles, the strain wires, the signal heads, the controller cabinet, which is essentially a small computer that operates the intersection. So that's what we mean by rebuild. As far as your comments with the timing, yes, we would look at the timing as well, but we don't need to wait 2 years for that. We'll take your comment about the signal timing and the pedestrian crossing, and we can look at that much sooner. We can look at that, this year. As far as the roundabout goes, I'll just comment on that because it was brought up as a comment, but I'll reply with a comment that, again, unfortunately, the roundabout is not, that is a much larger study that's required. That's not included in this project. However, again, I want to reiterate that it doesn't preclude it from moving forward in the future. We will try and develop alternatives that will improve the intersection within the existing right-of-way. We can obviously open up discussions with the town if they would like to, alienate parkland. It is a timely endeavor, but that can only improve things for the future. So, those are all things that we can discuss. But as of right now, the roundabout is not included in the project. Yes, ma'am. Voice in the sky, does this microphone work?
That microphone works 100%, yes.
Needless to say, the drainage on parts is worse than non-existent. I'm very curious if either the county or the town has ever attempted to improve the drainage at all. I'm just very curious about that. And also, I'd like to know if the drainage is also going to include Cedar Street itself, and that turned into Cedar Street. And there is some drainage that is also, it's not quite as bad, but going past Copices up to Gardner Avenue, there's some areas that also need drainage there as well.
So I'm not prepared to talk about what we've done in the past. I'm sorry, I don't have that information in recall. Needless to say, if we did do anything, it's probably not enough. So we could probably all agree on that. With regard to Cedar Street, this project, I don't believe will include anything on that. That's a town road, correct? Okay, so we will not be doing anything on Cedar Street. If it's within the intersection, within our right-of-way, we would be addressing that. And if there's, again, if the town would like to, identify something that's just off our road, our limits of work, and it's, within 10, 15 feet, and they ask us to put a drainage structure in to capture water, I'm sure we can work with the town to accomplish that. So there was one more drainage north of Copices. Again, north of Copices becomes a town road again, correct? So oddly enough, as in the middle of the road, it goes from county to town. So our project ends at the limit of the county's jurisdiction. Yes, sir.
I'm Bruce Nelapinsky. I live at the head of the harbor. I'm not particularly crazy about what you did on Springs Fireplace Road. I think it looks like Western Suffolk. I don't think East Hampton wants to look that way. That's aesthetics. Traffic calming, my concern is that you're going to repave the road. But as you drive north on 3 Mile Harbor Road, the first thing that you run into is in what used to be an old nightclub. Well, that old nightclub is up for a zone change to become a mini market area with cars coming and going in and out of there all night. Is there going to be a traffic sign there? Is there going to be a stoplight? As you go further, Neighborhood House. Neighborhood House is proposing to bring a big building onto their property to make Project Most bigger. We all love Project Most. What is the county thinking about is going to happen with traffic as it goes by that? As you go further north, around Swamp Farm, which we all love, is very popular, but they don't have any parking. They have parking for about 20 cars. You take your life in your hands when you pull out of there or pull into there. What is the town going to do? What is the county going to do about that? Then you go to Sokides Road, where cars, because of COVID, so many people from the city moved to the Northwest Woods year-round that they can't get to Daymark's Deli because that street is now one-way. So they have to make a hard turn all the way around 180 degrees or more just to go back to that deli, and there's oncoming traffic going 40 miles an hour. Okay, then 50 feet after that is the new housing development, which you have no indication of a traffic light or anything, for 50 apartments, 100 cars, and in the summertime when they have relatives and friends coming out to visit, you can make that 200 cars, okay? And then once you go past that, you got Daymark's Deli, where I saw someone die in front of that deli myself 4 or 5 years ago. Then you go past that, you got Abraham's Path. I'm not sure what a roundabout is going to do or not there, but it's a crazy turn onto 3 Mile Harbor Road. And then when you get up by where I live, which is by the marina, the road widens out, people decide, and I've got the police reports, they can go 70 miles an hour. Okay? In the morning, they do. They have. It's in the police reports, which indicate traffic during July, traffic during January, traffic in December, different times of the year. And obviously, during the summertime, that's when you're most at risk. And then, if you're talking about a sidewalk, you've got a sidewalk all the way from town to Copices on the west side already. So on the right-hand side, when you're up by the marina, there's a big open area of asphalt roadway before you get to any property where you could put a sidewalk. Are people going to be walking through wetlands to get to Copices? And if you don't address crosswalks, people love the Pominoke Path. My daughters walked it from Rocky Point to Montauk Point. I'm not just saying that. Hiking is a big deal in East Hampton Town. If you don't address crosswalks, a crosswalk to get from the west side of the road to the east side of the road in a number of places along this 2.5 miles, I think you're making a big mistake, okay? I'm not sure who deals with traffic lights or who deals with caution lights or anything like that, but I do know that from what I've seen living there for 44 years is people die all the time. 50 car accidents every month, a number of them right in front of that deli. And that deli parking lot on 3 Mile Harbor has never been corrected. It's not wide enough. So there's car accidents right inside the parking lot, much less when people try and pull out. That's my concern. I don't know.
Okay. There was a lot there. Yeah, so I'm glad we got it on video. But I would also say that you seem to have very good knowledge of the roadway, and we appreciate your input. And if I could trouble you to reach out, put your thoughts in writing and send it to, and email it to us. I think it'll help us tremendously with, and as much detail as you can. Particularly the crosswalks. Where would you recommend crosswalks? The Pominoke Path. That's the kind of input we're looking for. You people live here. You drive the road all the time. The insights that you can provide us is essential to us providing a good project. So the more detail you can give us, the better, and we'll evaluate those things. We are in charge of installing traffic signals. As far as some of the developments you've said, there's a process called the 239F, coordination between the county and the town. When a town gets a set of plans to develop on a county road, they need to refer it to us. So we may have some of those in our shop already, and we would be working them into our plan, okay? If we don't, sometimes they're submitted to the town, and there's a particular time period in the process where it comes to us. It could be too early in the process and we don't see it yet. Craig or Kevin, just make a note to reach out to the town and we can request any development along the roadway, which is normal course of business, but just make sure we get that done. So that's all part of our process as well. So we will be looking into those things. And if a traffic light is warranted, I do want to explain that a traffic signal by New York State highway law, we're required to follow the manual of uniform traffic control devices and the warrants, and there's specific things, reasons why you would install a traffic signal. And if you don't meet those, what we call warrants, you can't install a traffic light. It's as simple as that. It's highway traffic law. So we don't get to, while we are in charge of the process is kind of dictated to us to some degree. Okay?
Crosswalks like in the village could be done.
So the question was active crosswalks could be done. Excellent question. I will say that I have concerns. Anytime you're on, we call this a high-speed roadway reluctantly. But anytime you're on a high-speed roadway and you have a uncontrolled crosswalk, it gives me, pause for concern. So I get concerned when we provide the pedestrian a push button and it doesn't tell the motorist to stop. There's no red light that says stop. And then the pedestrian can feel like, well, I pushed the button, they're supposed to stop. Yes, they are. They're supposed to stop, but they don't always. So in downtowns, we feel they're very, very effective. And we're comfortable that when motorists are in the downtowns, they react well to them. In high-speed roadways, I'd like to see that operate a little bit more before we start doing those things. I think those types of pedestrian facilities are becoming much more popular. So motorists becoming more used to it, and pedestrians are becoming more used to it as well. So that's a good thing. A long-winded answer, I don't know. We'll evaluate it. But I wanted to give you some background on it.
Yeah, we have to be very deliberate in where we put those because we want to make sure we're not doing more harm than good. And are people actually crossing there or nearby? Is there pedestrian generators? As opposed to just kind of putting unsignalized crosswalks, just kind of, it would be nice to have one here. We need to be very deliberate and very data-driven on how we do that because it can be a challenge.
So the Palmanock Trail is a great example. If there's a lot of pedestrians crossing there, that's a justification.
Yeah, that might be an opportunity right there. We'll call that an opportunity.
I want to thank you guys for doing a lot of engineering on this project, but it's to those of us that live in the neighborhood, I think maybe I'm overstating it, but it's a bit of a shock to see that the merge of 3 Mile Harbor Road and into Springs Fireplace Road is not part of the project. So if I had to assign a numerical priority to what needs to be done first and most urgently, that would be it. And we just heard from this gentleman about a number of traffic incidents that he's experienced. And if you've tried to get out onto that road, onto 3 Mile Harbor Road from Springs Fireplace, you know what traffic fear is about. And it really seems to me to be, $14 million of potentially misspent money, or the priorities are misordered if that problem is not dealt with. So I urge you to consider if it needs to delay the main project or alter the main project. That should happen, in my opinion. To do one without the other is crazy. Thank you.
Let me just comment on that. So I apologize if I was misleading. We're not to say that we're not going to do anything at the intersection. What we're saying is a roundabout, because of the difficulties with the park alienation, because you can't do a roundabout without encroaching into that triangular area, which is Parks property, which we're aware of. So it would delay the project. And a roundabout is very costly. We're already into this project for 14 million. We're talking millions more. They're complicated to, constructing a circle in the middle of an operational roadway is no easy feat. So, for example, what could be done at that intersection? Very simply, a traffic signal. We could control that intersection with a traffic signal, and it's much more cost effective. We can install it very quickly. So those are the kinds of things that are on the table. And we're not saying we're not going to improve that intersection. What we're saying is right now the complications of a roundabout preclude it from being included in this project. Yes, ma'am.
I just need a little more clarification on that. What I hear you saying is that you are...
The microphone won't reach, and it goes under the speakers. If someone's going to talk, they have to go to the podium. Thank you very much before we get a feedback problem. Thank you.
It's got a hard job.
Sorry, I just need some clarification. What I'm hearing you saying is that you have a plan for that intersection that doesn't include a roundabout. And what I hear is that you are going to go forward with that plan and then consider a roundabout at another time. Is that correct?
I'm not saying we have a plan. We have alternatives that we will evaluate, and we will develop further alternatives. We don't have a full plan today. That's
okay. But what I'm asking is, I think it's important that the roundabout be considered in the overall plan before you do something and then find that the roundabout is necessary, and then you're doing it twice.
Well, again, I'm a traffic engineer by trade. I've been doing it for 35 years.
Right.
A traffic signal can very easily do exactly the same thing that a roundabout can do. It can be installed very quickly, and it can be done at probably a tenth of the cost.
I understand that, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's important that the roundabout concept be considered with all the other concepts that are there now, right now. If it has to wait a couple of years, it has to wait. But if that is the optimum solution, I think that should be considered with all the other options now as opposed to later. That's
okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
JB DeSantos, and I'm sorry to keep pressing on this, but we do need a roundabout because a traffic light, everything that is big in town comes to that poor side of town. Okay, we have Project Most looking to put in a 15,000 square foot structure on 3 Mile Harbor. The gentleman mentioned that before. Traffic is going to be increased. So we have approximately 57,000 trips on 3 Mile Harbor as is. So you guys did the improvement on Springs Fireplace Road. When you leave in the morning, there is a line of cars, 50, 60 cars already. A traffic light is not going to solve the problem. What you're trying to do is a Band-Aid. We need to have, and we must consider, a roundabout. We're going to spend $14.5 million of our taxpayer dollars just for a Band-Aid. We don't need it. Do it once. Consider, if you have to postpone the project, be it, but we must have a roundabout. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, my name is Mr. Turner. Been living here for 35 years. I would like to say to you, what happened 10 years ago? We're supposed to have Spring Fireplace down to High Creek and come up to 3 Mile Harbor. That one, I have the ad. I still got that ad in the paper. I'd like to say, God bless you. I hope you lower the speed limit down to 30, not 35, because they're gonna do 40 again. That's ridiculous. It don't make sense to me. From Collins Road, you got 30 miles an hour, you go up to Jackson Street, the kid stepped on the gas pedal and go 50. I've been living there for 35 years now. How many accidents have been here? And no cops are not over there patrol. I don't even know if you're gonna get patrol when you make the new project. Because the little kids, they can't even cross the road. Now you wanna make 2 sidewalks, that would be great. But we also have a lot of bike riders. Bike riding cross right in front of you. They don't even know when they're gonna cross in front of you. I've seen them get hit. And it hurts me because the little kid wants to get across the street. And I said, no, you're not gonna get across. You have to wait 18 minutes before you do get across. Now, the last thing I wanna say is, please make a double line all the way down to where Capizzi is. That's what you need, a double line. No more one yellow spot and a yellow spot and a yellow spot. That's ridiculous. Because these people are not going to slow down. It's the only way you're going to eliminate all these accidents. You have to tell the police department, put patrol on the road. The last 2 weeks I've been sitting outside, I've not seen a police car on that road. And I'll go around Spring Fireplace Road, there they are, all hiding in the bushes. And I thought, it's amazing that you are doing something now about it. Because 10 years ago, there wasn't this kind of project. They didn't even think about it, what they're gonna do. But I'm glad that somebody finally opens up their mind and gets something done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. You have a roundabout and a traffic light at the same place?
So general question, can we do a roundabout and a traffic light? No, it would be one or the other. Yes, sir. Can you come up to the, sorry.
It's a great question. Why not, you did a good job on 41. Why not take this improvement all the way down?
Can you speak at the podium, please? Just for broadcast, because other people are going to want to wonder.
Did a nice job on 41. My question is, why not take this project all the way down to Maidstone Park? The whole 3 Mile Harbor Road, when you get further down, narrow, twisting, for a bicyclist, it's a nightmare.
Stay with me for a second. So you're saying further north, is that what you're saying?
Down towards Maidstone Park.
North, okay. The limit, Copices is the limit of our jurisdiction, so that becomes a town road, so that would be a town responsibility.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Brian Carabine. I work with the Farm Museum, which is on the corner of Cedar and North Main Street. One thing you have to take care of, that corner floods tremendously. It's a big thing. I see you're running the curbs back a couple hundred feet on both sides to reorganize the road, but very important to take care of the drainage there. And the other thing is, you can't put traffic lights to control the thing. It's at the intersection of Springs Fireplace, and there'll be too much stacking, just tremendous amount of traffic.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Well, first, I think it's great that the road is being repaved. It's long overdue. I live on 3 Mile Harbor Road and the intersection of Jackson Street, and the noise from all of the trucks, I mean, all of the trucking seems to go right down 3 Mile Harbor Road, right, to the Bistrian spot. And so that's great. I'm glad you're doing that. But I think what this meeting is showing is one of the biggest concerns is the traffic. and controlling very dangerous intersections. I would like to say that Jackson Street and 3 Mile Harbor, where I live, I think that is maybe the second most dangerous intersection of all of East Hampton. The first is what everyone's saying is Springs Fireplace and 3 Mile Harbor Road. You can't make a left. Well, because of traffic patterns, I don't know if you guys have that power or if this is part of it, but I mean, Jackson Street was connected to Floyd Street. It used to be one way, if I'm sure many of you remember. And then they made, I mean, it was two-way, excuse me. And then they made Floyd Street a one-way street. I don't know if that was the reason why, but all of the trucks and everyone else tries to avoid the intersection where everyone is talking about a roundabout, Springs Fireplace and 3 Mile Harbor Road, and they make a right on Jackson Street. It's almost as like nobody realizes that this is a residential area, right? We have a nightclub we're dealing with. I hope we can have a meeting about that one day. And they want to turn that into something else that's going to create traffic. But the constant noise, and I think hopefully the paving will help it, because it's mostly trucks with, who knows what, bouncing up and down 3 Mile Harbor Road, almost shaking your house and waking you up. So I'm very happy that will be repaved, and hopefully that'll reduce noise. But I think there has to be a lot of attention placed to traffic patterns, whether it's the dangerous intersection where Abraham's Path hits 3 Mile Harbor, or Jackson Street. Maybe it's selfish of me because that's where I live, but I hear accidents. I can hear them from my room once a month, at least, of people trying to turn left or right onto 3 Mile Harbor Road. I can't signal into my driveway until I'm right on top of it, because if I signal too early, they pull right. They think I'm going to turn right on Jackson off of 3 Mile Harbor, and so they pull in front of me, but I just want to go into my driveway 5 feet further. I mean, it's an extremely dangerous intersection, and everyone drives on that road way too fast. It's always been that way my whole life. Like 3 Mile Harbor, everyone's going at least 50 miles an hour. And you're right, someone mentioned that it goes from 30 to 40, and that's where everyone just turns it up, right? So I think that's my main concern why I came here tonight, and I'm happy to see that a lot of other people are concerned about the dangerous intersections. What happens if, I know my time's up, if they turn the nightclub into some big shopping center, if Project Boast has that much bigger building, what's going to happen to that intersection at Jackson as well? I don't think a stoplight will do anything, because when you go to work or school in the morning, you can hardly get out of your driveway because there's a line of cars.
Thank you. A couple things. I did see staff writing down some information on things to look at there, so we will definitely look at that. Again, I would reiterate that as development occurs along the roadway, the town will send us those plans. We'll coordinate with the town and the developer to try and mitigate their impacts on the roadway. If a light or other safety measures are required, we would require them to install that as part of their development plan. If it's sort of in line with our construction, if their project lines up with our construction project timeline, we might incorporate it into our project, but we would do our best to try and help mitigate those development projects. Yes, sir.
Hello, Richard Whalen. First of all, I want to say I think you guys did an excellent job on Springs Fireplace Road, County Road 41. That road needed to be modernized, and you did that. And I think you did particularly an excellent job on the Abraham's Path interchange, which really needed work. So that was very good work. On 3 Mile Harbor Road, I guess I have 3 or 4 comments going south to north. First of all, at Cedar Street, we need a longer left turn stacking length between Cedar Street and Collins Avenue. I think that's what you're proposing. It was hard to tell on the map there, but I think if you're moving the south side of the intersection in Cedar Street north and you move the crossway with it,
that gives you more room for left turn lane. I think that's what you're doing. I'm strongly in support of that. The Springs Fireplace Road intersection with 3 Mill Harbor Road, that's obvious. Everyone has talked about that. Personally, I'm very much in favor of a roundabout. I know that involves dealing with the town and town property, but as prior speakers have said, I do not think a traffic signal is going to work there during the rush hours. That's just going to, people are going to be backing up for 50 cars. So I think the ultimate resolution there would be a traffic circle. Promenade Path, I'm very strongly in favor of having a crosswalk for the Promenade Path, but I will say there's not a lot of trail use traffic there. If you're wondering where it is, it's at the intersection of Gardner Cove Road on the west side of Springs Fireplace Road. And my final comment is the Abraham's Path intersection with 3 Mill Harbor Road. Whether you're going north or south, it's not an easy, and even if you're familiar with the area, it's not a very easy intersection to pick up as you approach it. And you have that, kind of curb island in the center of it, which I regard as problematical. So I don't know what you're going to do there, but I think you want to make that intersection more visible for motorists on 3 Mill Harbor Road going in either direction. Thank you.
Great. Very good input. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just finished a 6-month pledge to leave my car in the garage. So I had my eyes open to a lot of public transport issues and biking issues. And following up on one of the other speakers, the speed at which I have quite a few friends in Springs and I live in Northwest Woods. So I was biking between the two, whether it was day or night. The speed at which people drive on that street is incredibly high. And I just wanted to ask you all to consider how you were going to separate the bike lane from the car path that you're talking about. Painted lines, unfortunately, I don't think are going to do it. Whether you put in the bump type indicators on the road, maybe that might help. Or if you go after a European model, which is that the sidewalk is actually extended and the bike lane is actually raised above the street, that costs a lot more money, I understand. But just try to figure out how to keep the cars from the bikes, at least, because even late at night when I was coming back from Springs, the people I would run into are mostly workers going back home to Springs. And there are quite a few people who, unfortunately, might have had a few cocktails and are going back home, and lines are not going to make much difference to them. So just try to consider that.
Great. Thank you very much. Again, very good input. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, as the gentleman just described, as the gentleman just described, the bicycles and the pedestrians, who coordinates with the town when the county road ends and the town road starts, and these people are still going to be on their bicycles and are still going to be walking? Thank you.
You're very excellent point. We have provided the town with our plans. Obviously, they're aware, they're here. So I really can't comment on, what the plans are for the town road, but.
How do you know it's not going to go out?
Well, where bike lanes end, is always a challenge. It's best when they start at a destination and end at a destination. But I hate when all of a sudden you get to the end of a bike lane and it says bike lane ends. And you're like, okay. Yeah. I get it. I don't have a good answer for you right now. We're 2 years out. We'll coordinate with the town. We'll do what we can, but good point. We're trying to, improve our roadway. Alex, you have anything?
Yeah, just to add to that, we don't want perfect to be the enemy of the good. So things do have to end. And if we can never have a complete plan all the time for bicycle access, because then we would never do anything. So we're always trying to make it better, and you're just adding to that network as you go along. That's really what it comes down to. We don't want to not do anything anywhere unless if we can do everything. Well, we can't always do everything. So let's do what we can do.
Any other questions on this? Yes, sir.
I just have a question about plans, ongoing plans. Are there plans available that we can review so we can see where proposed drainage and road widening and things like that may impact what we know?
Again, we're in preliminary engineering, concept engineering. We don't have plans at the moment. We're not at that detail level, so we don't have drainage structures cited or anything like that. We know where, well, we hope we know where drainage issues are, but again, that's what we're here today for, is to, someone commented about a drainage problem. Hopefully we already know it, but if we don't, that's, adding to our data bank, and we will address that. So we don't have that information quite yet. When we do, we will share it online. We'll put it on our website. If you're interested, you could, go to our website and look at it. We're going to be more proactive online with projects. So, it's quite a hike to get out here, but if you can get online and see things and then email us with comments along the way, I think that's we want to have a dialogue with the community. That's what we're looking for, is ultimately when we deliver a road project to the community, we want everyone to be as happy as they can be. Not everybody's going to be happy. We heard that tonight, but as happy as they can be. Hey, yes, ma'am.
I'm Betty Lynn Terry, and I was wondering if you or anyone here, who can we contact? You say that there's this coordination between town and Suffolk County. So who do we, if we have a comment, or, I mean, there's a comment for, listed here for the email for the Suffolk County, but who's going to be the coordinator between the two that we can address if we have other questions or want to support certain things, whether it's the roundabout or whatever it is?
Okay, so comments for the county would go to our website. Are you asking who do you contact for the town?
No, who you're talking, you often say, we're going to coordinate with the town.
Yep.
So who is that coordinating person that you're going to coordinate with?
Well, we'll likely work through the legislator, the county executive, working along with the elected officials for the town.
Anyone in particular that would be good to address our concerns with, whether it's, with this bike lane that people talk about ending at, BC's Lane, or other things that you talked about coordinating?
I think going through legislator Ann Welker is probably the best thing to do, and then she can coordinate with the town as necessary, loop the department in. If the town indicates that we would work with their town engineer, we'd be more than happy to do that. There's a lot of ways for us to coordinate, so to try and identify one particular way to coordinate, it's a little difficult, but I think it's best that maybe you coordinate through the legislator's office.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, we survived.
One quick question. Bike lane is supposed to be right with traffic, right?
Yes.
So when a biker...
Could you possibly come up to the, we just want to on the record. It would be really helpful. Thank you.
If bicycle riders are supposed to go with the traffic flow and not against traffic, the man who's coming out of Northwest Woods and wanting to make a left turn onto 3 Mile Harbor Road to go north is going to be on the wrong side of the bike lane. If there's not a crossing for that guy to walk his bicycle across the road to get into the right side of the bike lane, he's going to be riding into traffic and get killed. I'm just saying, keep that in mind when you're thinking about people having to get across this road. It includes bicycle riders, I would think.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Actually, when I ride and there's no bike lane, I ride with traffic, and most other places have share the road signs for cars. A lot of our drivers, again, I'm American, but as Americans, we are not as savvy about sharing the road with bikers. So we need to educate people. So when I make that left turn, I am in the left-hand turning lane on Cedar Street to go up north. I don't go on, there was no sidewalks over there to do. Anyway, my actual next question was, since you said you're basically trying to do again what you've done on the other road up near Pepperoni's, up near Abraham's Path, have you proactively gotten post-project surveys done to see what you've learned, what you could have done better? And is that available to the rest of us?
We don't have any formal feedback. The feedback we've gotten has all been positive, that everyone likes what we did there. Yes. But for the most part, it's been positive, nothing specific. We're assuming that in general, they like it. If there's something that anyone does not like what we did there, we'd love to hear about it, because as I like to say, we're not going anywhere. The department is not vanishing, next week. We're going to maintain, own, and operate that roadway for a long time in the future. And if there's something we can address, we have the ability to make, I don't want to call it minor, but we have the ability to make some smaller improvements very rapidly. So if we're made aware of an issue, we can evaluate it. Particularly, it's summer's upcoming. The majority of your issues likely happen during the summer. So, telling us in September, not always the best, September, October isn't the best time. Right now is the best time. So if you can think of something on that roadway, we'd be more than happy to evaluate it. And if we can cut work orders for pavement marking, signing, signals, and we can move pretty quickly on that. We have monies available to do things like that for small efforts. So if you have an issue, please let us know and we'll try and evaluate it. Any other comments, questions? All right, we survived. Thank you. Oh, legislator, Legislator Ann Welcome would like to say a few words, maybe?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Projects only get done well with input from the community, but they also only get done well with listening from the other side of the road, basically. So thank you to all of you from the county for coming out here tonight and for listening. But what I would encourage, because I'm always thinking about what's the next step here. So really the next step is public.works@suffolkcountiny.gov. So your input as a follow-up to what you've said here tonight, both in the short term with, help me with the three things, pavement marking, signage, and what was the third? Traffic signal. So those are things in the short term that we can help with, but then in the long term, it's also really important to put your ideas, put your thoughts down in an email. These guys were scribbling madly tonight to get, some of you had really good thoughts, really good ideas, really good input. I'm sure as you reflect, in the coming days or weeks, or perhaps even tonight, you'll think of other things that may be of concern or may be helpful. As Bill said, you live here, you travel that road multiple times a day, and you are the boots on the ground who can be helpful in putting together a good project. My email is ann.welker@suffolkcountiny.gov. You can feel free to CC me or our team when you're writing to the county, but we're happy to be the go-between, and also the how we get things done is by working well together. So thank you to all of you for being here tonight. Thank you guys for coming out. And Jason, thank you for recording this so that those of you who weren't able to be here tonight can watch this going forward. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.